Good morning. Happy Saturday, everyone. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to get in here, but we are going live right now. It is 10 a.m. on the West Coast, 1 p.m. on the East Coast. So good afternoon to all of you. We'll wait a few more minutes, let you guys get in here, and let's get that situated. Okay, so welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's been quite a week. I guess we're saying that every week now. It's been quite a week. We've got so much going on that I just don't know where to start. If you have not heard, there's still no arrests in the death of Breonna Taylor. So we need you guys to make sure that you're making your phone calls. I will put this information up here one good time. Her law was passed, but we still need you guys to make phone calls, call the mayor, call the attorney general, call the interim police chief, make your phone calls, make demands for justice for Breonna Taylor. And also, kind of disturbing news that's come out of California. There's been two Black men who've been found hung. Their deaths were ruled a suicide, as I feel is a little suspicious, but that's what we've got going on. And it really has been, for lack of a better word, it's been disturbing to my spirit just thinking about Black men being hung in America in 2020. So I just want everybody to be hyper vigilant about what you're doing, staying active, and make sure that, I mean, in our local communities, there's a lot of things going on. I just want to make sure everyone is involved in community activism, making sure that you're registered to vote. Thank you for our visitors that are popping in here. But while we're getting started, I want to throw this up here as well. Make sure you donate. NAACP, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, is a great organization to donate to. Campaign Zero, Color of Change, all of those organizations will help us to fight racial injustice, which we're still doing. It's just because everybody celebrated Juneteenth on yesterday, which I'm glad you guys did. Happy Juneteenth. But it's been around for a while. I'm glad to see. It was wonderful watching everybody celebrate and talk about what they were doing. But I hope that this continues. This is not just a one-time thing. We have to stay hyper vigilant. But today we have a pretty cool show. I have one of my oldest friends, actually, met her in high school. LaQueeta Coleman is going to be in here with us on the show today, and I can't wait to talk to her because I am so proud of her journey and where she has ended up right now. Like, she's doing the darn thing. So, LaQueeta Coleman, I'm going to bring her on in the studio. Hey, Boo, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, honey?
I'm good. I love the hair. Like, first, let me say, you have always been hair goals. Like,
Oh,
natural or relaxed. I've always loved your hair. I'm like, I need to figure, like, that is beautiful. And
oh,
I
thank
love so
you.
much how you embrace your natural hair, your natural style. I've been watching you, and I know I haven't seen you in person in forever, but I've been watching you from afar, and like your growth, you are an amazing woman. Like, you
Thank
rock.
you. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it. I really do.
So
Y'all make
you
me
are.
cry a little bit.
No,
Okay.
don't cry, Chica. Don't cry. I know I almost threw up an old picture of us from our Atlanta days. I was like,
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna do that to her.
Go ahead. It's the journey, right? Like people
It
can
is the
appreciate your
journey.
backstory.
Like, I was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, the first time I met you, I think Nicole brought you over. You were driving, and we went to Grand Rapids to go to some store or the mall or something. We we were forever jumping in the car to go somewhere. And the car, we ran out of gas on the way back. That's what I remember, on the
Yep.
side of the road. And I was like, this is, yeah, friends for life. because we've been having
Oh
adventures.
my gosh. I love it. I vividly remember that. Vividly.
Yes, for real. Like at the side of the freeway, like what are we supposed to? We're gonna have to walk.
Yeah,
We're
we
gonna have
got
to
back
walk.
though. We got
Yeah,
back.
we know we always make it back. We always make it back. That's what I love
Yeah.
about us. Like
Yes.
we gonna figure it out.
Yes.
And that's the great thing about having like strong friends in your circle is like
Hmm.
if one of us don't, somebody else got it. Like I know how to do this. But I want
Hmm.
to talk about so you're the owner of now Society Indoor
Correct.
Cycling Studio, and it's a spin studio, correct?
Hmm.
All
Correct.
right. So spinning is not something I've tried yet. One day I might.
It's like one day.
I might try it one time, but we're going to get into a little bit more about that later in the show. But first, like what we always like to do with this show is start the show on an attitude of positivity. So, thinking backs are thankful. Quita, can you tell us one thing that you are thankful for on today?
I'm really thankful for peace of mind. I know that may seem like a boring answer, but I'm
No.
truly thankful for the peace that I have in my life. I didn't always have it. And to
Mhm.
get to a place that not necessarily thinks it's not that things aren't thrown at me or I don't have challenges or adversities or tribulations, but being able to connect back to my peace always allows me to be able to get through those situations and still have that element. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, yeah. No, peace of mind is important. I think a lot of people
Hmm.
don't realize that. Like, if you have peace of mind, that's what, like you said, that's what can center you in the midst of the
Hmm.
trials. Like, I love the fact that every week I've been talking to different Black women on this show, and not one yet has said that this COVID pandemic has taken them out. Like, we have
Wow.
persevered, like their businesses are growing, businesses are
Hmm.
starting, and I think that's the one thing as Black women that we have that a lot of other women don't have is that inner, that inner
Hmm.
peace that we can just pull from within to get through. So peace of mind is that's definitely something to be thankful for.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that too because when you have a lot of chaos going on, like you don't know what direction to go in. Like if
Hmm.
there's like no peace and you just got letting the thoughts run through your head,
Hmm.
you can't center yourself and there's no way to like ground yourself and say like what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing, like I'm getting
Right.
off. So peace of mind is, yeah, that's definitely important. But now let's get back to this spinning thing. So for those who don't know, what is spinning?
So spinning is basically, spinning actually is a term that is trademarked by a particular organization.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is indoor cycling, which is all the same, but you'll notice that a lot of studios don't use the term spinning because you have to have a particular certification to be able to use that word legally. So
Okay.
Society Indoor Cycling it's an indoor cycling studio. So it's stationary bikes that we use for a 45 minute to an hour workout. It can be intense or it can be less intense depending on what you put into it. But I love it because unlike other exercises, I feel like with indoor cycling, you're really able to zone out because most of the time it's done in a dark room with no lights, with a
Hmm.
lot of sweaty people that is in the room with you. And so you're able to zone out and really connect with yourself. And it's not just a physical experience, it's an emotional and it's a mental experience as well. So basically, it's indoor cycling, stationary exercise on a stationary bike. I'm sorry.
Okay. And how did you get into indoor cycling?
Honey, it really was because I had just had a baby and I had joined a gym. This is probably about 8 years ago. I had joined a gym and I was looking for group fitness classes where I could go to class and I didn't have to worry about my husband's work schedule and I didn't have to worry about a babysitter. So at
Hmm.
the time, the only thing that was offered at that time was cycling. Now, I'm going to be honest. When I saw it on the schedule, I'm like, Black girls, we don't cycle. Like we do aerobics, step, Zumba. We don't
Right.
typically cycle, right? but my choices were really slim, and I wanted to start moving again to get rid of the baby fat. So I joined the gym and I started taking classes, and I just fell in love with it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Like, that's not really something. And I did my research. I was trying to find like all the black owned cycling studios. I didn't know
Hmm.
spin was a trademarked word, but all the black owned cycling studios. And there's not a lot of them out there. But I will pop up this little list. I found a little list that I got right here. So of course we have your studio in Ann Arbor, and then there's studio in Brooklyn, Harlem, College Park, Maryland. Those were the ones that I found. If there are other ones, people feel free to shoot me a message and let me know.
Um,
But congrats to you for being a trailblazer, sis.
Thank you. It really is by the grace of God. It kind of just landed in my lap. I mean, it was a journey to get there, but the opportunity kind of just was like, just placed in my lap.
Okay. And what brought you? So you enjoyed it obviously enough to want to invest in it. So
Hmm.
how did that come about?
So
Because
what happened was I'm sorry, I was taking classes for about 2.5 years. And one of the instructors was a Black female, and she came to me one day and she said, "Would you be interested in teaching?" And I was like, "Girl, I can barely breathe and do the exercise at the same time. I can't talk and do it." She's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yes, you can." So to fast forward, I had got trained and I started teaching at multiple gyms in the Metro Detroit area. One
Mhm.
of them was Google. I used to teach their corporate employees at Google. And then I ended up teaching at Society. And so I was teaching here for about a year when the previous owner, he and his wife had moved to Chicago, and he had came to me with this opportunity that eventually, yes, I wanted to open up a cycling studio, but I didn't know that it was going to happen like this. So he came to me and he asked me, would I be interested in purchasing it? And so I talked to my husband. We went over like all the information for about 2 months or so, and then the rest is history. We bought it.
But isn't that how God works? Like it's not in our timing. Like it happens when He says it's time. So that brings me to like pivoting in the midst of a pandemic. So owning a gym and a studio during this whole time has to be, for lack of a better word, nerve wracking. So
Hmm.
how have you? Because you have moved gracefully, and you seem to be keeping your footing and still going. So, how were you able to pivot in the midst of all of this?
So initially, like most business owners, period, when we heard that we had to close the business because of the COVID, I kind of knew that eventually there was going to be some type of shutdown because of it, but I didn't know exactly when and I didn't know for how long. So when we got the governor's order that day by noon, the gyms had to be closed, I'm going to be very transparent and say I was very sad about it. Like I was sad in the sense that I had 11 people that worked for me, that I felt dependent on me, that I was letting them down. I was sad in the sense that we had, built this wonderful community of people who not only use this for physical exercise, but like I spoke of before, for mental and emotional exercise. Felt like
Mhm.
I was letting them down. And here I had my husband who invested in me, you know, to get the business. I felt like I was letting him down. And so I
Right.
went through all of these hosts of emotions, and I probably went through it for about a week. And then God is so amazing. Like, I'm not even going to get off track, but God is so amazing.
Yes.
But to just kind of make what I'm about to say next relevant, probably about 3 to 4 months prior to the COVID hitting, God sent a gentleman in my life by the name of Fred Culpepper. He is a Black man that owns a company called Creative Fluidity, and he does branding and videography and all things digital, right?
Okay.
So he and I had started working a few months prior to COVID on branding and marketing and advertising and whatever. So fast forward back to after I came out of my pity party for the week, Fred and I, we got together, we put our head together like, look, we got to figure out a way to adjust your business model so that you can still, give to your clients, but not in a traditional sense of being in a brick and mortar building. And so we put our heads together, and initially I started teaching free classes on Instagram Live. We did that probably for about 5 weeks. And in that 5 weeks, we were getting all of our technology together so that we can start our live and on-demand streaming services through our website. So, you know, Fred has been a wonderful blessing. I could not take all the credit because I could not do this all by myself. Like, and I couldn't do it without him, at least not now. I just couldn't. And so he's been like a true blessing in my life.
Well, shout out to Fred. Shout out to Fred. And
shout out Fred.
yeah. And I am so happy for you and thankful for you. As with all of my friends who are business owners, like I've been praying for everybody because I mean, shipping books became kind of like a stop at some point for me. And so I agree. Like it was chaotic in the beginning. So I am thankful that you found a way to pivot. Because in my research and looking for other cycling studios, I also read a few articles from some of these studio owners who said like they're probably not going to be able to reopen. So God is truly blessing you, and I'm thankful for his favor on your life. I'm thankful for how you've been able to pivot, and I hope that we get the word out. Like I am going to try cycling. I really am.
You got to do it, Adrian. You could do it.
I got to get out here on a bike outside first and like, let me, remind myself of how to do it. They say you don't forget. So
right. I ain't going to start preaching them, but you'll get there.
I will. No, I will get there for real. But do you ride outside? Is it just indoor cycling or are you a rider on? No.
And that's the interesting thing. I don't think I've been on a bike probably since high school.
Same.
And so the two it's not like you can do one without or you need one to do the other. You don't have to be an outdoor rider. And to be honest, most of the people that do indoor cycling are not outdoor riders.
And now that you say that, most of the outdoor riders that I know do not do indoor cycling. Like that is not their thing.
No.
They will go ride for 20, 30 miles on the streets, but going indoor in a studio, that's not their thing.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I'm gonna try it though. I am gonna try it. I'm gonna get there. But Bohemian Vibes. So I have a bag of vibes that you will be receiving a pack because all of our guests get a deck of cards. But I pulled a card today. This was actually, normally I'm prepared and I like think about like what we're going to talk about and who, but the card shows itself. And that's what I love about intention decks anyways, because it kind of chooses itself. So today's card that was on the top of the deck says hustle. And we know all about hustling. But the quote I have on here says, I refuse to be the reason I fail at life. As long as I am breathing, there's always an opportunity waiting to bloom. And I think that quote goes so well with like what we've been talking about. Wow. Like you have to see the positive in everything. And once you really realize, we were speaking about this a little earlier, once you realize within yourself, like what you're passionate about, what you want to do in life, and block out all of the naysayers and the noise and the negativity, like you are the only reason like you're going to fail. Like it has to be within you. Everyone has the same capabilities like within themselves to push themselves up. But for Bohemian Vibes, and you're a great example, it says name one hobby and can it generate revenue? So for our viewers out there, if you're wondering, like, and you've been struggling, like, I don't like this corporate life, and now is the perfect time to pivot and make a change and really think about, like, what you see for your life and where you want it to go. Think about if you have a hobby, like LaQueeta. I mean, you just started working out, and before you know it, like, now you are a studio owner, one of the few African-American studio owners in the United States. I love that. And then also, thinking backs are thankful. Name one thing you can teach someone else to do. Would you pay to learn it? And I like these two because these cards were designed for African American women, one. But they were also, the purpose of them for when you're at a low moment in your life. Because I went through that time of like, I'm not happy with anything. And I just like, I don't want to go to work anymore. I don't want to do anything anymore.
Mhm.
Like, I just don't like this life anymore. And I had to start thinking about my passions, my hobbies, and things. Writing is a passion of mine. Can you build revenue doing that? Yeah, if I push myself, going back to talking about pushing within, if I push myself and actually write these books, start creating these tools and thinking inward, yeah, you can create revenue. So these are for
Mhm.
women, just some ideas on how to get you started. LaQueeta, you were just looking for a way to get back into shape after you had the baby, and fast forward 8 years later, look at what you're doing. It's amazing what we can do when we put our minds to it.
Yep, I totally agree. One thing that I always say is that all you have to do is just be open to the
Mm-hmm.
universe, and being open, you'll discover so many things about you. I mean, God knows us better than we know ourselves. And for me, I didn't know the cycling, but I had no idea that I was passionate about cycling. I mean, because I was raised like most African American boys and girls: go to school, get a good job. Go to
Yeah,
school, get a good
get a
job.
good
And that's
job.
what I did. I went to school, I got my bachelor's, I got my
Yep,
master's, I got a good job, and I was making
yep.
great money, and I was miserable.
Isn't
Go
it?
ahead.
It's like, don't you see? Like, that is the way it is. Like, I have a good job, but I really don't like coming here. I really don't like it, and that's
Hmm.
the thing you got to think about. Like, you can do the job. For me, I know, like, accounting, I could do the job forever, but am I happy?
Right,
No, not
right.
at all. Like, I'm not
Hmm.
happy. I'm stressed out, and I don't want to be counting someone else's money. Like, I want to
Mm,
count my own money,
right.
do it for myself. Um, Holistic health. This is a little segment because, again, this show, um, I'm trying to do something a little different because I know I'm not that. This is another thing that kind of prompted me to start the show. Like, I know I'm not the only Black girl out here that is into alternative things. Like, that's how we became friends. Like, we've all been
Yeah.
different and into
Oh, yeah.
different stuff. Like, we were, well, back then, the weird Black girls
You're
doing
right.
weird stuff.
Still the
But
weird Black girls.
we still do, yeah, we're still the weird Black girls. Holistic health. So, do you have something that you would recommend, like maybe a method other than spinning and cycling? Do you have something that you would recommend that's helped you to kind of keep yourself centered and help you along on your self-care journey?
Something that I practice, and I don't know if this is necessarily a method, it's more like just a way of thinking or a lifestyle, is I learned how to let it go. And that is a very, very hard task, but
Woo.
I've learned how to let it go. Like, I don't look like my story, and I tell people all the time, like, I may make it look easy, but believe me, there's many nights where I'm at home crying,
Hmm.
where I'm at home discouraged, where I do have my week-long pity party, but I've learned how to let it go. And that is so liberating and freeing for me.
Hmm.
Like I had mentioned to you before, like a lot of times we look outward for healing inward, like whether it be I'm gonna go get a massage, or I'm gonna start doing yoga, or I'm gonna start working out, or I'm gonna go spend time with a loved one once a week. All of that is great. But during those moments, if you're not investing on trying to figure out what the turmoil or the chaos or the void on the inside is, none of them will bring you, let's go back to the peace. It'll bring you back to the peace that we all ultimately deserve. So for
Yes,
me, my one magic trick is letting it go.
that's a hard one. That is a hard one. Like,
Mhm.
how did you get to that point of learning how to just let it go?
Well, it came from just going through so much. I mean, you know my story. My mother passed when I was 13 years old, and
Hmm.
as a result of that, I became a ward of the court, and I went through all of these different experiences just as a teenager. And then
Right.
you fast forward to my college years, I had a lot of hurt and heartbreak, from relationships, because I was trying to figure out who I was, and I didn't even know how to do that. Like, it sounded good, but I didn't know how to do that. I'm just now actually at 40 something learning how to do that. But
Yes.
having all of these experiences, running to all these walls and worrying through these experiences, trying to fix everything through these experiences and not getting anywhere and still being left with that turmoil and sadness. One day I just said, forget it. I mean, just like that, forget it. And I think that's the thing that we don't understand is that our mind is so powerful. We
Yeah,
truly, I know we hear the statement and it may almost become, as if it sounds cliche, but we have the power to do and be anything we want to be. It all starts up here. So
it
for me, I
does.
had to practice. It wasn't like it happened naturally for every single situation that I came up against, but over time, I learned how to let it go. Like when the doors closed, I had my moment, my week, where I was sad about it. And it wasn't even more so towards about me. It was about the people that I felt like depended on me. But after that week, I let it go. Like, Lord, whatever your plan is for my life, it will be, whether I worry about it or not. And
Yeah.
so I let it
Yeah,
go.
you have to surrender. You have to really surrender.
That's
Like if
it.
you want
Surrender.
to be truly successful and in a place of peace in your life, you have to learn to just surrender to whatever happens, happens. And that is something like for me, I will always tell myself when I get frustrated, is like God knows. Like that's
Yeah.
my when I do try to like that little inner me wants to get worked up about things and stress about things and obsess about things, like God knows. So just let it go and just trust that whatever happens is going to happen and it's for a reason and get that lesson. But going back to talking about how we do so many things externally, like the massages and the yoga and all of those things, like what you said is so true and so important. And I told someone this before, like all of that is nice, but if you don't really work on yourself, and that was one of the key points of me creating my first interactive journal, Awakening Vibes, is
Mhm.
this is not supposed to be fun. Like this book is for you to really like work on yourself and think about those internal things, those ugly thoughts that only you know about yourself. Like if you don't work on yourself internally, then all of that, you'll look great, you'll be in great shape, you'll have beautiful skin, but you still, like you said, you're never going to be at a place of peace because you're always going to keep striving and keep pushing for that next thing that satisfies you. And really what it is healing the hurt from the past.
Mhm.
um like that is one thing I really admire about you because like you said, when your mother passed away at 13, and so for me watching you like grow into the woman that you are, like it's always been inspiring because like
I'm not.
you don't,
I'm not gonna cry.
dude, don't cry.
I'm not gonna cry. Okay.
Girl, I'm turning into Oprah making
I'm
people
not.
cry. But no, you really have been inspiring because the way that you have led your life with such grace and such passion and such wisdom, like you really, they say, you don't look like your story, but you really, no one would ever know what you were lacking because God gave it all to you anyway. And so, like, okay, let me stop because now I'm a cry anyway.
Right. Right. Like, oh my God.
But I am so proud of you. Like I really do sometimes like I flash back to those days when we were teenagers and like I think about like if I could just talk to my 19-year-old self and
Mm.
like tell her, girl, take it easy, chill out, enjoy life, enjoy these friendships, enjoy these women. I've learned so much just from watching you and how you've pivoted, how you've taken on adversity and managed to still be positive
Thank
and
you.
be open. Like you're amazing. I love
Thank
you.
you,
Let me
Adrian.
stop.
Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate it. I really do. And what's making me tear up is your words and just going back to that place. Like we have no idea when we're in our journey where we're
Oh
going
my
to end up.
gosh.
And when you get to a point where you feel like you've conquered maybe something that you struggled with in the past, you
Hmm.
think about it from that mature space and you say, like, if I could talk to her when
Oh
she
my
was
gosh.
16, I would say, girl, it don't matter that they called you ugly. It don't matter
No.
that they said you weren't going to do nothing. You know how fabulous you're going to be?
Yeah.
And that's why I have people that tell me all the time that sometimes I'm too transparent. But I do that because I want people to know, like, listen, it doesn't matter how you started. It doesn't matter what you go through on your journey.
Mm-hmm.
God intended for every last one of us to be great and
Yes.
not want to be left behind, not the bum that you may see on the street, not the crackhead that you may see in the alley, not the politician who may be full of evil. God intended for all of us to be great. But the
Yeah.
only job that we have to do, which is the hardest one, is just to believe it. You gotta
Yeah.
believe it.
You have to believe it. Yeah, everything like sounding all like Glinda the Good Witch, but everything you need is already inside of you. Like
Yes.
we are born with everything that we need to be successful and to be great. Like you have to have no excuses. And that goes back
Mhm.
into doing that internal work and making sure that you oh, hello, Ben. Yes, Quita. Yes, exactly. But you have to do that
Hi,
internal
Jen.
and make sure that you're working on yourself and being hard on yourself. You know, you mentioned like you're just now getting there at 40, and I was thinking about that a few days ago. Just like I thought I had it all together. I really did. It's like my next book I do want to talk about. Like there's a book coming about like what to expect at 40. Because at 40 for me, things changed. That was really when I was like, okay, no, this is not the life that we like. This is
Mm.
not what we want to be doing. There are some things you need to work on internally. And so now at 43, ugh,
Can you believe
man,
it?
man, whew, Lord. Yeah, at 43,
Mm.
I just keep hearing 50 is coming soon.
It's okay. It's gonna be
It's
fabulous.
okay. We look great, though. We are the
Yeah.
youngest 40-year-olds in the
Right.
past 100 years. We are fabulous. But now at 43, like I think back and think about like those decisions that I made at 19 and 20 that I thought like, oh, this is going to make my life like no, all of those things that you think are important, all of those trying to strive to be great, have the great job, have a good car, have a house, have all of these things, have a husband. Like life does not always work that way.
Mm-mm.
And doing that internal work, that like that is the most important thing. Hey, Alina Williams. Um, that is the most important thing is doing that internal work on yourself.
Mhm.
And if there was one message that I could get across to all of us, like as African Americans, I feel like we're too hard on ourselves. Like we try to live up to expectations, but we also have super high expectations of ourselves. And that goes back to
Mhm.
what you said about letting it go. Like if you learn to just let all of that go, throw away the notebook, throw away, the scratch pad, and let's just start fresh and say, okay, God, this is you and me, whatever is
Mhm.
inside of me, let it come out. Really not trying to be super spiritual
No.
here, but that's what you have to do and just
Mhm.
go with the flow and then realize I read somewhere, oh, Lovey Ajay, she posted something about saying like it's okay like to have success and to
Mm.
have a good day. And when she posted that, like it really resonated with me because I thought I was the only one. Like I have great days and things are good. Like people are like, "How are you doing?" I'm really good. Then I have to second guess it. Like, well, I don't know. Should I be expecting something bad to happen next?
Mhm.
But I think as African Americans, I mean, coming off of Juneteenth, we've struggled for so long. Like we are predisposed to already think of the next thing that can happen. Like we're already trying to
Yeah.
protect ourselves. Like we're built to protect ourselves just
Yeah.
from the situations that our ancestors came from. But once you get to a place of just accepting, like, no, God, like you said, God wants the best for me. He wants me to be successful. He wants me to be in good health and
Mhm.
prosper, even
Mhm.
as my soul prospers. Like once you realize that, and accept things like things it life has a way of just flowing
Mhm.
like and that's what you want life to flow, not to wake up every day stressed about like okay, what do I have to do, what bill needs to be paid, okay, there's money in the bank, I need to be worried about there's money in the bank because that means something's going to happen. No, just be happy at whatever place you're at, whatever
Mhm.
state you're in, be at peace. Like, that's what you need to do. But you know what? We could talk about this forever.
I
I
know.
love
I
talking to
know.
you.
I
I
know.
love talking to you. But here's another thing that we do on this show. We have affirmations because, again, our mental and emotional health is important. And we've been neglected for so long as African Americans. So this show is about, like, let's pour into one another, and also let's show everyone what it looks like to be overcomers, to overcome not having a mother, to overcome being homeless, to overcome whatever it is that we've overcome, to still be successful and show you here are the ways to do it. Because for me, and I'm sure for you, like, there was a lot of mistakes, like, going through our lives. Like, there's a lot of things, like, we didn't have a blueprint. But if there was a blueprint for how to stay healthy emotionally and mentally, I want to be one of the people. Okay, that's a statement. One of the people to
Mhm.
help create that right there. So I am an affirmation statement just to yourself. I am what, LaQueeta?
I'm grateful for it all.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is I'm grateful for the bad. I'm grateful for, and this may sound, hear me out when I say this. I'm grateful for the experiences that I had as a result of my mother passing, because I feel like God says, it all works together for the good. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if you don't go through those experiences, if you try to prevent everything from happening, then you lose the lesson. And
Oh my
so
God, yes.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Because I wouldn't be where I am
Girl,
if I didn't.
yes. No, I agree with you. Like, I come from that standpoint as well. Like, I would hear things like my mom would be like, "Oh, I wish I didn't go through this because then you wouldn't have gone through this." And I always try to explain to her, had you not gone through that, had I not gone through that, I would not, like, there's no telling where I would be, what kind of woman I would
Mhm.
be. Like, everything in life, the good and the bad, affected me for the better. Like, it made me a better person. And in the time that you're going through something, if I could share that with anyone that's watching right now, in the time that you're struggling or you're going through something, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't, like, you may think like this is the worst moment ever, and you feel like I can't see myself coming out. I know maybe like 2 years ago, I really was like, I don't, like, I cannot find my happy, like, if it was sitting in front of me. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think I will ever get there. But you put one foot in front of the other, you do the work, you keep trying, you show up for yourself every day. Before you
Mhm.
know it, you're going to wake up and be like, I feel so good. Like, oh, actually,
You
I do
good?
feel good. Like, I'm not just saying I feel good. Like, I really feel good.
You
And it
do.
doesn't matter, it's not about like, oh, I have a lot of money in the bank, or I have a house, or I have a car, or I have a husband, or I have a kid, or anything. I feel good internally with where my soul is at. And for me, I'm a woman of faith. So for me, that has been the main thing these last few years going forward, is just my most important thing is, like, if I die today, is my soul in a good place with God? Like, am I happy? Because that's something that a lot of people don't really think about. Like, yeah, you could be doing great things and doing the work of the Lord and all of that stuff. But internally, if you still have bitterness, anger, hate, you're still dealing with depression, you're still battling anxiety, that means there's something, like, your body, your spirit is trying to tell you that there's some work that still needs to be done. Um,
Mhm.
I did not mean to get all off on that, but I just want,
I'm
if there are
for it.
people watching, like, you put one foot in front of the other, and you may feel like you are alone right now, but there are other women out there who have gone through what you've gone through. You are not
Mhm.
alone. You will make it. Janita, thank you. Congratulations on your success.
Oh,
You will
thank
make it.
you.
You can make it. You just have to, like you were saying, LaQuita, just put it internally. Like it all
Mhm.
goes back to one. It's like what we're doing on the inside has to it has to matter. And if you don't matter, that's one of my mottos is like you are your most important asset. Like
Mhm.
you, and like really get that, the you part, not
Mhm.
the outside part, not how my parents think, not how my friends think, not what
Yep.
everyone else is doing. And your your path is everyone's path is unique. So
Mhm.
that's another thing that I would share with everyone. It's just like your path is unique, and don't measure your success on the outward. Measure your
Right.
success on how you feel every day, and if you are pleased with your life and where things are at. What Alina says, I love a good affirmation. My daily affirmation is I am filled with happiness and bring happiness to others. Yes,
Oh, good.
that's a good
Yeah.
one. That's a good one. That
Yeah.
is a good one. Hey, Zahala. Oh,
Hey,
okay, we got
hi.
everybody up in here today.
I know. What's up?
Okay. But yeah, no, let me see, my I am statement for today is I am passionate. I am
Mm.
passionate. And I think I have to remind myself of that. Like sometimes it's like I used to be passionate, but no, I still am passionate.
Mhm.
And I still am active, and I still am like trying to get involved, and I still care about the issues that I cared about as a young woman, like our community, our Black community, our young women, and making sure that they, don't make the same. And I don't want to call them mistakes because we
Mhm.
wouldn't be here. So making the same decisions. If I can help a young woman kind of change that thought pattern and understand like this, pause on some things. Again, like talking to my 19-year-old self, I have so much that I really want to say to her. Like, girl, you are fine. It's okay.
Mhm.
Like, stop
Mhm.
comparing yourself to others. But we have really been talking long.
I love it. I
So
love it.
check on your strong friend, because again, we bear the weight of like the world sometimes, our communities, our children, our men, like as Black women, we have to carry so much and then continue to be providers, be nurturers, be strong, be happy, do that tap dance that sometimes I really like. Honestly, I'm working on it because I'm just like, when I'm done, I'm done. um but I think a thing that will help us is just checking on one another, saying, hey girl, you good? Because a lot of us aren't the ones to come and say like, I'm struggling, today's a bad
Mhm.
day, I'm depressed. Like, and we're just taught that. I mean, one, in being positive, it's good to be positive, but sometimes we have had those days. So check
Mhm.
on your strong friend. Is there a homegirl or sister friend that you want to send a message of love to or encouragement to on today?
Well, I do, but it's not a girl. So
Okay.
I hope that's not
No,
okay.
that's
But
fine.
I would have to say that my strong friend is my husband.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times we feel men play a role, right? They're supposed to be the provider, they're supposed to be the protector, they're supposed to be the strong one. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay if he works 14 hours a day and he comes home and his feet hurt. What he's supposed to do. But no, they have feelings too. They're people
Yes.
too. They have emotions too. And the difference with them is we have the luxury or the liberty to be able to say, I'm tired, I don't feel like going to work, I've had enough, I'm emotionally drained. But men in our society, they don't have the same luxury to say those things. And so I would always, I would like to say I'm going to check on my husband because he carries the weight of the world on his back. I couldn't do this without him. I would not be able to do this without him. And he has been such a support in my life. And so if I had to check on anybody, I'd have to ask him, you good? You
You
good, baby?
good?
Because he be out here struggling for me. So I would have to say him.
Girl, you know what? You are right. You know what? I would say like to all our viewers, check on a Black man today, because just in thinking about everything that's been going on lately, I've really been, I mean, I talked about at the top of the show about these hangings that have started popping up across the country. And it really has been, I mean, hate to sound like such an old woman, but it's really been troubling my spirit all week.
Yeah.
And I have been thinking about that. Like, I've been up late at night just praying for Black men because I can't
Hmm.
imagine, like, you have all of that, and then in the back of your mind, you still have to deal with this oppression from society. You have to think about, are you going to make it home today? I got to drive this way. I got to drive that way. I got to walk this way. I mean, it's like, I mean, can't go outside and run or ride a
Hmm.
bike without having that in the back of their mind. So I agree with you. We expect a lot of them, and they do a lot. Like, shout out
Hmm.
to Black men, and
Shout out, brothers.
shout out to our brothers, because they do a lot and they support us, and they don't lose it. They keep on going and keep on
Yeah.
pushing. And the ones who may have paused for a moment in their life is just because, again, they need that support. So I appreciate you for bringing that up on
Yeah.
today. So once
Yeah.
again, I love that you are here. We have LaQueeta Coleman, owner of Society Indoor Cycling Studio. You can follow her on Instagram or Facebook. I would encourage all of you viewers out there to get involved in your community. Quita, thank you so much for joining me on today. I love you. It's been great
Thank
talking to you.
you. I know.
Be well. Is there any last words you have for our viewers?
I just want to say it's not about me, it's about you. Like I told you before, I'm very, very, very proud of you. I see the glow around you. I'm glad that you are walking in your passion, and in walking in your passion, you're reaching out to people like me and the other sisters that have been on the show. And you might not even know you're doing this. That even in following your passion, you reaching out and you helping somebody else. So I just want to say I'm proud of you. I
Oh, thank
love
you.
you. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it.
Aw.
I love you. Keep doing you, sister. It's okay if you make mistakes and you run into robots. It's all part of the plan. But what God has for you, Adrian, is only for you. So you keep doing you, boo.
Oh my goodness, thank you. And on that note, thank you, Quita. I will talk to you later.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Okay, you guys. So there you have it. Thank you all for tuning in. And I just one time want to pull this up for you. If you are interested in getting involved in the community, these are organizations that you can donate to: the NAACP, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Campaign Zero, and Color of Change. And one more time, get out there. There's a spin studio somewhere, or not spin, an indoor cycling studio. So go out there, give it a try. You never know, you might like it, as we've heard from our guests on today. But thank you guys all for showing up and showing out on today. I hope you learned something. I hope that you were uplifted on today. And until next Saturday, be well.